Welcome everyone, Filipino Wife Abroad here. I've been seeing many videos where the content creators, particularly those expat vloggers in the Philippines, are discouraging other Western men from relocating their Filipino fiance or spouse to their home country because of the possibility that the Filipino will be westernized. Alternatively, the idea of living in the Philippines is not for everyone. So many Western men still take the chance to move his Filipino back to where he's from. But guys, this apprehension by Western men towards their Filipino partners once they settle, like here in the US, is actually not as prevalent as these men think it is. Still, there's a high percentage of successful marriages where the Filipina is transitioning, but in a good way. There are actually bigger issues or problems in the relationship that commonly cause a divorce based on what I see and encounter in the film community or even in other virtual groups. This might surprise a Western man that mate poaching or stealing other Filipinos' partner is considerably more rampant than a Filipina leaves her partner because she becomes westernized. In my early years here, I was actually stunned and confused every time I met Filipinas warning me to not fully trust some fellow Filipinas when it comes to my husband. Honestly, I'm no longer active in my film community here because I feel that vibe. You know, these women are straightforward asking what my husband does. It feels like these women have contagious disease that I started to avoid them and barely join any group parties these days. Well, I think I already got a very long introduction about our story today, guys. A great story. It's about stealing or taking the Filipina's husband by another Filipina. So, guys, without further ado, let's jump right into it. So, there was a firefighter in the US who was in his late 40s and preparing for retirement within the next 5 years. It was his dream to retire in the Philippines, a place he'd been while serving in the military when he was a young man. So, this firefighter, in preparation of his retirement, started looking for a Filipino wife. In one of many trips to the Philippines, he met a Filipino who was well educated, spoke great English, and the two quickly fell in love. So the couple got married in the Philippines and they decided that the Filipino would come to the US under a CR1 visa and help earn money to build their dream home in the Philippines. The first few months of the Filipinas' time in the US went well, but one day this Filipino received an anonymous Facebook message containing romantic chats between her husband and another Filipina. In this message, there were also suggestive pictures of her husband with another Filipina whose face had been blacked out. This message devastated a wife, and she confronted a husband with this evidence of his cheating. The firefighter absolutely denied that he'd been talking to any other women since they've been a couple and had no clue who the woman in the pictures was. The new wife couldn't bring herself to believe her husband, and the jealousy inside her raged. So she reached out to her best friend in the Philippines, her family, as well as the film community here in the US for advice. And everyone she talked to gave her the same advice: leave him and get a divorce. So the common consensus was that anyone who would cheat this early in a marriage is not worthy of her love. Her best friend and family sent her money for a plane ticket, and she made arrangements to fly home to the Philippines without even telling her husband. While the husband was at work one day, the Filipina left for the airport, and based on the advice from her best friend, she blocked her husband. Once the Filipina was flying, her best friend sent a note to her husband telling him that his wife had left him and she would let him know when she arrived safely in the Philippines. Now, it was the husband's time to be devastated. He told the best friend that he didn't do anything wrong and he loved his wife. So the next day came and the wife arrived at the airport and was greeted by her best friend, who also took a picture of the two of them in a warm embrace and sent a picture to the husband to let him know that she had arrived safely. So the husband and the best friend started exchanging messages back and forth, since this is the only method he had of communication with his wife. The best friend also told the husband she would post pictures of his wife so he could see how she was doing. So the husband was immensely grateful to the best friend, and the best friend gradually became sympathetic to the husband's situation. Time went on, the husband saw his wife's pictures, and now she was now socializing with old friends as well as men he'd never seen before. This was more than the man could handle, and he decided to file for divorce. He lived in a state where a divorce was fairly easy to get, and he filed the necessary paperwork. So when the divorce documents were ready to be signed, he decided to fly to the Philippines and talk to his wife to see if there was any hope for any reconciliation. If there was no hope for reconciliation, he would have her sign the divorce documents while he was there. He also made arrangement for the best friend to pick him up at the airport and be with his wife when they met to review the divorce paperwork. So the wife was still angry with the cheating and that her husband continued to deny he did anything wrong. The wife refused to discuss reconciliation of the marriage and signed the divorce paperwork almost immediately. So the firefighter knew that it was time to move on, and lo and behold, the best friend was there for him. While he was in the Philippines, the best friend and the firefighter became romantic and started an LDR, and eventually the LDR grew into a marriage proposal. With a firefighter now getting close to retirement, he wanted to live in the Philippines where the best friend and him would start the new life and build a new home. During the LDR, the best friend ghosted the ex-wife and stopped having contact with any of her family. Meanwhile, the ex-wife had struggled with starting any new relationships. She'd lost her faith in men and didn't know if she could ever love again. So one day she has a chance to encounter with her best friend's cousin. The two had known each other most of their lives, and the conversation quickly became focused on the ex-wife's best friend. The cousin told the ex-wife about the marriage plans between her ex-husband and ex-best friend and how sorry she was. The cousin was overcame with guilt. She told the ex-wife that it was her ex-best friend that had sent the fake infidelity message and also photoshopped the pictures to make it look like her husband was doing things he shouldn't be doing. So the ex-wife now realized that her ex-best friend had stolen her ex-husband, her future dream home, and a future family. But the most devastating realization the ex-wife had was that she allowed her jealousy to destroy her marriage, hurt her ex-husband, and destroy the trust that had been built. This story is one of the many that I've heard with a similar theme, just like what I said earlier. Some Filipinos want what other women have, and they are willing to do everything, whatever it takes. Well, my advice to my fellow Filipinas is to trust your spouse just a bit more than trusting those who might want to try to steal your spouse. Nurture your marriage or your relationship by prioritizing the need of your partner over your friends and even your family, because you built your own family now and your husband is the reason why you left Philippines. That's what commitment is. Otherwise, you're giving your partner the reason to be sour in your relationship and rather find someone who can give the attention he deserves. Nothing's wrong with making friends with other Filipinos abroad, especially joining a community. That's understandable because we're away from our family. But be mindful of type of folks to keep and avoid. I hope you learned something from this story today, guys. Thanks for watching again. Please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. I'll be back again next week with another interesting video. Bye.